Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about when is it okay to push through injury? When should you expect an injury would recover? And we'll talk a little bit about different types of injuries, like a hamstring pull or an avulsion fracture or an ankle sprain. But first, we're going to talk about cheerleading and heart. Welcome to the Cheer Athlete Podcast, where we bring coaches, parents, and athletes expert tips and advice to help keep cheerleaders healthy, strong, and at the top of their game. Now let's go. I want to talk about cheerleading and heart this week because many people have been posting a coach. I think his name is Shane Montgomery, recently passed away. Now, I don't know him at all, but clearly everybody that I'm connected with does know him, and it sounds like he was a wonderful person. What struck me is just how small the cheer world is and how connected we all are. We may not be in the same location. I don't know Shane at all, and I don't know any circumstances. And my heart breaks for his family and for all of my colleagues and my former coaches and my former teammates who did know him and did experience life with him. And so I'm very sorry for his loss. But isn't it amazing how connected we all are? Whether your cheerleader is on a all-star team or they're cheering in school, or if they've been to summer camp, especially if they get into college, like, yeah, Daytona Nationals, college cheerleading nationals come down and everybody swarms in and there's millions of cheerleaders there and teammates. It's really a very small population. And all the coaches end up knowing each other. I can remember going to BU cheer camp and meeting all the other high school coaches and college coaches, and I still connect with them to this day. If I just talk my own cheer team, when I was cheering at Northeastern, I've stayed connected with my cheer team. And, some of my best friends are from the cheer team. They were my only friends in college, not my only friends, but they were my closest friends in college. And I've stayed connected with my coach, who knew a whole lot of people. And she brought all the other teams. She coached for another at least 13 years, maybe more than that, after I left cheering. And we have all stayed connected. Now, it may not be as close as we were when we were on a team or when I was judging their tryouts, but we've stayed connected and we see how everybody's life progresses. And so if your cheerleader is cheering, the best part about cheerleading is the connections you make. You don't realize it when you're little, and you don't realize it as a parent what the connections your child is making. But as they start to progress through and they make the connections, even if it's just with their team, those connections will last a lifetime. Maybe they're going to need a reference for when they go to college. Maybe they're going to need, they're going to meet up on Facebook and just stay connected that way. And then they have someone else to talk to about life goings on. Our actual physical cheering doesn't last for a lifetime, but the connections do. And it really means a lot to all of us, and just what I'm seeing and how with my high school cheer team that I coached, we had a saying one year, cheerleading is all about heart. And 100%, I agree. It's all about heart. You put your heart and soul into it. You go leave it on the mat. You're leaving your heart out there from the work that you've done. You've got to love your teammates. You love the coaches. You have connections and there's feeling towards it. And it's just a connected, wonderful sport. I've been out of cheering for a very long time and out of the physical end of cheering and coaching. And so, I recognize that I'm removed, but being removed, I still see those connections and I still feel them with everyone. And I hope that you recognize that for your teammates. All right. That's enough of my sappiness. Again, wishing all the best and much love and peace to anyone who knew Shane. And my heart goes out. Let's talk injuries because that's where I'm at now, right? And that's how I can help you and how I can give you some feedback. There's multiple questions the past week on, when will my cheerleader be able to return? Will my cheerleader be able to return? How long is it going to take to return? If you haven't grabbed it already, grab the injury prevention starter kit because it goes through a lot of, it's going to take these steps to get back into return fully. And so I can't answer everything in this, and everybody's different. Everybody's journey to get back to doing what they want to do is very different. Someone that has a hamstring pull may, if it's just a mild pull, they may get better pretty quickly. If it's happened repetitively and if they're just kind of pushing through it, or if it's an aggressive pull, that could take longer. It takes time for things to heal. You'll see me answer on the mom's Facebook groups. It depends. It depends on where they're at right now. It depends on what their history was before that. It depends on what their motion and their mobility looks like. It depends on how irritated it is. Someone recently posted they had a bruise and their coach pulled them out. And I just answered today, like, that's the best thing the coach could have done. They have to compete this coming Saturday. She's got bruised knee. Now, a mild bruise on in the muscle that's, small, you bump your arm and you're like, ah, hurts, but you can move and it's okay. That get back in and do stuff if you can, if it's, those get better pretty quickly. But a bone bruise that you land on your kneecap and it's like deep bruising into either the kneecap or the thigh or your shin, those are pretty common. Usually it's like in the kneecap, you land on the knee and boom, sucks. Those can take a long time to heal. And because of the location of that, it's going to affect the jumps and the landing because your quads have to do a lot of impact for landing. It's going to affect, tumbling because again, you're landing in your jump and you have to be able to push off. And so if you get back in too soon, even with just a bruise, I put that in quotes if you're listening to this, you could set yourself up for a bigger risk of injury. Now, I really applaud this coach for listening to the cheerleader, listening to the physician who is asking the child to not do as much weight bearing and to take a rest from it and let things settle down. But I also recognize that, it's a last competition and everybody wants everybody to be there. The coach has to make those decisions for the team. So what's right for one person is not always right for another. One bruise is not the same as another bruise, and it depends on where that is. We talked a little bit about hamstrings. The high hamstring pulls, I think, take a very long time to heal, mostly because we try to stretch it because it's like, oh, it feels tight and I just want to stretch it. But really, that proximal portion usually needs to get stronger. The hip flexors need to get a little looser. The core has to be more stable. And in doing that, you have to make sure that you're not tweaking too much, and you're moving just enough to get the hamstring mobile, but not overstretching it. And so when we overstretch and then it gets irritated. If we get back in too soon, we jump and there it goes again. So that can take a long time, and it's important to know, okay, we got to take that time to stretch out, make sure that everything is moving as it's supposed to. Same goes for an avulsion fracture. Somebody asked about an elbow avulsion fracture. That usually happens so hamstring pull will definitely happen with jumping. If you're, really trying to lift the legs really high, whatever jump you're doing. And if it doesn't, one, have that mobility, but two, doesn't have the strength, or if the hips are pulling too much, the recoil can happen on your landing, or it can happen in the jump. It's frequent, non-cheerleaders will get it from running and getting that sprint because they either need some mobility in through the front of their hip and some strength in their glutes. Could be hamstring mobility, but generally the hamstring needs to get stronger and the glutes need to get stronger. With an elbow avulsion fracture, usually that happens if we hyperextend our elbow. So if you're looking at me on the video, if I really see my elbow sort of hyperextends here, I trained myself when I was cheering, my elbows were really hyperextended. So I trained myself not to hyperextend, and can absolutely do that to build up some stability. So we don't want to get back into things that are going to be causing weight bearing, until that fully heals, and you've got to give that time. 6 to 8 weeks is a normal healing time. Again, that's in quotes because not everybody's normal, and kids will heal faster but we want to make sure that everything around it is strong as we return into doing. And we don't want to go from, we have a fracture into tumbling, handspring, round off handspring, 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 and we're fatigued and things pop out again. So it's really important to give time to heal. At a minimum for any healing time, think 8 weeks. That's for the tissue to calm down. That's for things to start to move better. And that's for things to just start to be baseline. It doesn't mean that they're going to have to sit out a full 6 weeks. If someone comes in with an ankle sprain, that's an, acute, a grade 1, it's mild, but it's swelled up some and maybe turned a little purple around the outside part of the ankle. That might take, 2 weeks to feel better and get some mobility back. And you can start, as soon as it's starting to feel better and you have that mobility, you can start doing things, and try jumping. But it's going to take that same 6 to 8 weeks for everything to kind of calm down. So you want to just watch it, that whatever joint you're working on is not swelling up in the process of returning back to activity. If it's swelling, if the athlete is limping more, or they come out of practice and they're sore, but they go to bed at night and they feel okay, and then they do it again and it's constant for a number of weeks, then you might need to back off a little bit. Now, if they just come out of practice and they're sore, but it's manageable and it's better in the morning, I myself am not going to worry about it. I would tell them it's okay to go do what you're doing, but listen to it. Do your PT exercises and whatever do your exercises to help get the mobility back, get the strength back, work on strengthening up the chain so that you can progress and you can, not have a recurrent sprain. If it's a bigger sprain, they might need to be out for longer because it's less stable. That's when they might need to wear a brace. Hopefully after, it's generally they're going to go back with some sort of brace if they've had an acute sprain for a little bit, but after 6 weeks, they shouldn't have to wear it. And they should be doing mobility work outside of that brace and only wearing that while they're cheering. So again, a lot of it is, it depends. The things that I'm going to look for to clear fully to be back in is the range of motion improving? Do they have pain with range of motion? Can they weight bear? Can they walk normally? And what's their strength like? Now, somebody that has, if they have tightness in and around their ankle and their calf, or their hip, that is not normal. And it's something that I want to work on and tell you to keep coming to therapy. But that might be okay for them to get back in and start participating. When they get back, they should start off gradual. Start if they're pain with tumbling, start off just, doing some roundoffs, then do cartwheels and roundoffs, and then handstands and handstand snap downs. Those are feeling okay, then progress it into the next level. And that might happen over the course of a week. It doesn't have to be ages. But when we get in right after an injury and we were just going full on into fulls and doing routines full out or trying tryouts full out, and there's still a little tweaky injury that is not ready to do that, sets them backwards, and then things go the other way. So I know it's really frustrating to think, okay, it's just going to take time, but when you can let your athletes heal and not have them get back too soon, they're going to be better for the long run. They're going to be healthier for life. They're going to perform better for you the next time they're ready to get in. And they're going to have less time off the mat if they let things heal and as a whole. I think if someone's injured, they should actually still be at practice and they should be at competitions. Again, I coached high school cheerleading. I didn't coach all-star. We were not traveling out of state during school time. I don't think kids should be missing school on a regular basis to go to a cheer competition. It happens. And, once a year on Summit, if they miss a day, probably not the end of the world. But if someone's injured, for myself, I probably wouldn't want them to travel if I was their parent. As their coach, you're part of the team. You should be with the team. You celebrate the highs, you celebrate the lows, and be there, standing in front, cheering your team on with the coaches, and giving your teammates, constructive feedback, not mean feedback, but constructive feedback as they come out of practice, or constructive, hey, I noticed that you were a little flat in this section, like ramp it up a little bit there. Or, oh, I like how you do that. And the next time I'm in, I'm going to do that. So they're learning and watching as they're going, and they help to coach themselves, and that makes them a better athlete in the process. Plus, they're supporting their teammates and encouraging them when they're on the mat. So all-star and having to travel, it's a whole different scenario, and I get that. As a rule, I would want my athletes to be there, and I would expect them to be there through their injury. If they have to leave to go to therapy, I get it. Give me a note that says you're at therapy. Like, that's expected, and you're doing something. They could be at practice and do their therapy exercises. That way they get them in multiple times through the day. But being present and being supportive of your team is what being part of a team is. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but as a prior coach, that's what I expected of my team. And as a cheerleader, that's what was expected of me. And I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there to support my fellow cheerleaders. I was never out with an injury when I was cheering, so take that with a grain of salt. But I was an alternate for at least one season, because I went home for the summer to do a co-op job, and I was just coming back and forth. And so through football season, I was an alternate, and I ended up cheering every game, but I think I missed one game, but I was at that game and I was cheering them on because I was a teammate. And that's what part of being a team member is. So if you have one takeaway, 3 takeaways from this. 1, give your injuries time to heal. Every injury takes about 6 to 8 weeks. 2, it depends on each individual. Make sure that they are able to walk normally, weight bear normally. They're not coming out and limping or getting worse as you go along. Anything that's getting worse, that means you got to pull back. If they're getting better and they rest overnight and it's not swollen up like a grapefruit, and able to move, and they can maybe limit their jump height or landings, and they're gradually increasing, then they might be okay. But still go to therapy in the process. Be present and be there for your teammates when you're injured. And the 4th takeaway, remember, that's the being there for your teammates. That's where the heart comes in, because we love and support each other, because cheerleading is more than just the skill of it. Cheerleading is being part of a team. It's learning to work together. It's learning to support each other through the ups and downs. It's learning to be there through the good times and bad times of all of life. And when we can support each other like that, and when you teach your kids to do that at the young age that they're at, it will carry over for the rest of life. And you never know what impact that one event or that one connection is going to bring, and the ripple effect it has throughout life. As I wrap up the end of my 3rd season, beginning of my 4th season, and as we're moving forward, I hope that's the biggest takeaway for you. I'd like to know, are these episodes helpful for you? Are you finding benefit in them? If you are, please 1, subscribe. 2, share it out to somebody. 3, maybe comment on social media. Send me a message on social media letting me know that this is beneficial and that you find some value in this. You can tell me, like, hey, could you just talk less about heart and talk more about injuries? I think it goes together, so I probably won't do that completely, but let me know what you'd like to hear about, especially going forward. If and is there anything else that you'd like to talk more about and as we go forward? Because I want this to be helpful, and it's I sit here and I talk to the camera and I don't see your faces and I can't answer your questions directly, but I want to answer your questions, because that's the importance of this, is how to help keep your kids healthy and safe and on the mat. So reach out to me on social media and let me know, is it helpful? Do you enjoy it? Is it something that you want to see continued, or do you want to see it let go? If you stayed listening thus far and you're here at the end, and you started at the beginning, I really appreciate you being here. I can't believe I've done this consistently now for 3 years. And like, I think we're at 156 episodes, somewhere in there, 155, 156 episodes. And I've had some great guests on, and I've just been rambling myself lately, but I enjoy sharing information to help the injury prevention end of it. And so hopefully it's helpful. And those of you that have been listening for a long time, or you're just listening for the first time today, thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. And um, this is what it's all about. Continuing that I continue to love cheer after so many years and still have it in my heart and want to share that with you. That's what cheer is about. So God bless. I hope you have a great week. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to. And as my friend Drew Kelleher used to say, you're responsible for your own vibes. So go get the day.